Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our backyard. This morning's video is about hummingbird odds and ends. And as you all know, at the end of August here and the beginning of September is peak hummingbird migration season for my southern part of Texas, and I actually live a little bit south of Houston. And one of the things that you see here is a hanging basket that I purchased this summer, which is called Terenia or wishbone flower. And I can confirm my hummingbird that has been with us all summer long visits this flower. And you can see it does have a little tube to it. It's a nice little compact flower. And this particular basket has multiple colors of the Terenia in it. And I didn't know if the hummingbirds were going to like it, and she does like it. So I did want to report back to you that this isn't necessarily her favorite, but she does visit it every day. And I do see her both at my hanging basket and then my planter here. It's a pretty tall planter too. And the Terenia is just going nuts in this planter. I really, for the heat that we've had and the humidity, this excessive heat, this wishbone flower has done really well, and she likes it. The other thing I would like to share with you is I have recently purchased a hummingbird feeder shade. Let me get up a little higher. And I just recently purchased this shade off of Amazon, and it was a tad bit pricey, but as you know, here we have had a heat dome over Texas, and it's been excessively hot. We've had so many days above 100 degrees, and with the high humidity, it has just not been ideal for plants and gardens and people and animals, you name it. But one of the things that I noticed is, of course, I do have some of my hummingbird feeders in the shade, but I also need some in the sun, so they are, when the hummingbirds fly over, they can see not only the flowers but the feeders. And so I purchased this to cast shade, and I do want to report that even though this was, I think it was a little over $20, which is to me very pricey for what you get. It is a hard plastic, but it definitely shades the feeder very nicely. And if it wasn't so expensive, I would probably purchase more, because it has done wonders on keeping the direct sun off of this feeder. So I might buy another, but it is pricey for what you get, but I've been very satisfied with it providing shade and cover. It also has on the top an ant moat that I fill with water, and it also is supposed to shelter, so meaning water's not supposed to drip down onto the feeders. We haven't had rain in almost 2 months now, so I can't confirm that just because we haven't had the rain, but I can confirm this is a wonderful item to cast shade, so a hummingbird feeder in direct sun does not get that intense sunlight on it. Another tip I would like to share is the placement of your hummingbird feeders. So I have mine by areas where there are flowers for the hummingbirds to visit. But they also, articles will tell you that if you're trying to attract multiple hummingbirds to your yard, it does pay to put up multiple feeders in the same area. And I can confirm that this does work. And typically I'll have 4 feeders from this feeding pole. I'll also put a feeder here that I'm going to be putting up shortly. And the reason is when you have migrating birds come down, they see this as a large food source, and you're trying to get them to stop and stay and use your area as a refueling station. You'll also read for those areas that are just having normal hummingbird activity. They can protect the feeders, and they're, if you will, called little bullies because they try to lay claim to their fiefdom. But when they're migrating, it's particularly helpful if you arrange your feeders together so it is this abundance of food that they see and then come down and eat. My next door neighbor, who is right here, she also hangs hummingbird feeders, and she has hummingbird plants in her yard. She's got a pollinator garden, and hopefully soon I will go over and visit her garden and show you what her garden looks like. It's just beautiful. I don't know if I captured that, if you could hear that little squeak that just was on. I don't know if the camera picked that up, but that was a hummingbird off to my left. I don't see her at the moment, but she comes and visits every day. And then I've also seen male hummingbirds, so I know the migration has started. I've shared that the flame acanthus plant is a huge hit with the hummingbirds. They visit this daily. The Russellia, or firecracker plant, is a huge hit. And you'll notice they all have these tubular flowers. The cardinal climber is also a big hit. I don't have a lot of blooms yet. I guess the jury's out to see if I'm going to have some success this year with its blooming. I've never not had success with this vine, but this year has been unusual in Texas. South of Houston, we have had a really tough summer. It's also important to put up hummingbird feeders in shade areas of your garden. What's interesting is this particular feeder, which is under one of my small trees, is frequented. The center ant moat is full of water, and it's frequented by birds, really of all sizes. I've even seen the large white-winged doves land on this thing and drink water from the center, even though I have water available for them in other areas. And so it's really important to keep these feeders clean. And you'll notice I have bird poo. I don't know if that's showing up that great. So anyway, I will need to change again. And I do need to change the water more frequently, even with the additive in there to keep the water clean and clear. I just have to keep the hummingbird feeder itself clean. I am going to link up at top. I did a review on many different types of hummingbird feeders that I have used in the past. And I just am going to link that up top if you care to take a look at it, just to let you know what some of the things that I encountered with the different feeders were. And this particular type, which is called a high perch feeder or a saucer type feeder, has been really successful in my yard. And it's super easy to maintain and keep clean. Right now I really like, oh, blue jays coming in. Sorry about them squawking in the background. One of the things I'm really enjoying is the hummingbirds coming around to all the different plants that they like. And this is another one that's in my semi-shade garden area. And the hummingbirds like to come. As you notice, it's a very unique type plant called a shrimp plant, probably because this part of the bract looks like a shrimp, and then the delicate little flower is underneath. And they come and they hover here and then just take the nectar. And like I said, even though we've had a really difficult summer, and I don't have as many blooms as I typically have, what I do have, they're frequenting and really enjoying. They have been at my Turk's cap also, even though I've mentioned in prior videos how pitiful my Turk's cap planters are this year. She does love, the hummingbirds love to come in and drink nectar from this unusual flower. These flowers don't open up, they stay closed like this. This is a native to Texas, and it's called a Turk's cap. And right now, in this brutal heat, a very reliable source of nectar is the wonderful firebush. Very thankful for this bush, or I should say these bushes. For both hummingbirds and pollinators alike. And then finally, porterweed has been such a reliable nectar source. This is my blue porterweed. You can see a bumblebee was enjoying the flowers. And this is as I have mentioned in prior videos, even though a porterweed only flowers along a very short area of its bloom stalk, the flowers replenish with nectar all during the day. And so you will see pollinators visit porterweed multiple times a day. Thank goodness for porterweed in my yard that's been grilled and in this heat dome all summer long. Well, thanks for joining me on this video of hummingbird odds and ends. Oops. There is a mourning dove. If you all have any tips or tricks for hummingbird migration season, I'd be really curious to hear them. If you'd share them below in the comments, that would be wonderful. And the plants they're enjoying in your yard. I didn't list all of them. Of course, I do have plants like salvia and lantana and hibiscus that they love. Or I should say they go to. But they do have their favorites, which I have mentioned. And then I have some plants that are their favorites that aren't flowering really great right now. So this is just what's in my yard right now at the end of August. So I hope you enjoyed these tips. Definitely check out my other video where I talked about and described the different hummingbird feeders and the pluses and things to look out for if you're looking for hummingbird feeders. And I hope you get these wonderful little birds in your yard because they're so fun to watch and they're just so fun to have. Very good. Well, thanks so much for joining me this morning. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you again soon.